You ever sit there, mind racing, heart heavy, thinking about every mistake you ever made, every decision you haven't taken, every opportunity you might have missed? That feeling right there is not weakness. It's the weight of a mind that cares deeply. But here's what I've learned: that caring too much in the wrong direction will paralyze you. Overcome Overthinking Fast isn't just a title, it's a way of reclaiming your power. Let me tell you something real. They're not broken. You're not lost. You're just stuck in a loop that was never designed to help you grow. And the trap is quiet. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It whispers doubt, fear, guilt. It makes you feel like you gotta have everything figured out before you take the first step. But life doesn't work like that. Success never came from perfection. It came from movement, from momentum, from action, not anxiety. You see, overthinking is a fraud. It makes you feel productive while stealing your energy. It feels like planning, but it's actually postponing. It's like revving your engine for hours, but never driving off. That's why you feel exhausted without doing anything. And I know that feeling because I've been there. I used to think if I just thought a little harder, I could avoid pain. But pain isn't something you dodge by thinking. Pain is something you outgrow by doing. I've learned that one powerful truth: action is the antidote to anxiety. Not perfect action, just any action. You want to talk about motivation. You want a real motivational speech. Then let me say this: stop waiting for the fear to leave before you move. Move with it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is deciding your purpose is bigger and your panic. Now listen closely. If you give your overthinking too much power, it becomes your compass. And that compass only leads to hesitation, not inspiration. Every time you let a thought loop spin around your mind without confronting it, you invite self-doubt. You give fraudulence feeling a seat at your table. That voice saying, "Who do you think you are?" That's not your intuition. That's the residue of negative influences, people, memories, failures still trying to define you. But you're not here to stay stuck in a story someone else wrote. You're here to become the author of your next chapter. Personal growth begins when you interrupt the loop. It starts when you say, "I might not know everything, but I know I'm done holding myself back." Let me give you something practical right now. Next time your thoughts start spiraling, ask yourself, is this thought leading me toward movement or misery? Is it a step toward purpose or just another detour into hesitation? You're not weak for feeling fear. They're human, but you grow when you stop worshiping the fear and start building through it. And if you're someone who's serious about entrepreneurship, about goal settings, about creating a new life, and hear this clearly, overthinking is the enemy of momentum. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how brave you're willing to be. That's psychology facts. Your mindset is more powerful than any circumstance. If you want to create the best motivational video inside your own life, don't rehearse pain in your mind, rehearse progress. And if you fall, so what? Setbacks are part of the system, not the end of your story. You want inspiration, you want real motivation, then stop asking, what if it goes wrong? And start asking, what if it goes right? You're not just watching a motivational video. You're rewriting your story with every breath you take forward. And this right here, this moment, this is how to stop overthinking. This is how to stop overthinking and anxiety before it robs you of another day. You ever notice how the most successful people don't necessarily have all the answers? What they have is decisiveness. That's what separates dreamers from doers. While some people sit back analyzing every possible outcome, others step forward, take the hit, learn, and evolve. That's how life rewards you, not through perfection, but through progression. See, most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they never get started. That's the real danger of overthinking. It convinces you that starting is too risky, that failure will break you. But you've got to understand something. Failure isn't your enemy. Stagnation is. Hesitation is. Waiting on the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, the perfect confidence, that's a lie your mind tells you to keep you safe from discomfort. But you weren't born for safety. You were born for purpose. I had to learn the hard way that fear doesn't disappear with more thinking. It disappears with action. You want to overcome fear, then make fear your signal, not your stop sign. When you feel that tightness in your chest, that lump in your throat, that's your body telling you there's something important on the other side. That's not a reason to turn around. That's a reason to lean in. When I was younger, I used to think success was about talent, about being the smartest in the room. But life humbled me when I discovered that success is about consistency. It's about showing up even when you feel unready. It's about pushing through the noise in your head that says you're not good enough. Because let me tell you, that voice of fraudulent feeling, it's lying to you. That's not your truth. That's your fear in disguise. You don't need to know the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. Because when you take that first step, the next one reveals itself. And soon, you're not just thinking, you're building. You're living. You're becoming. You want a motivational speech that matters. Here it is. Stop aiming to feel ready. Start aiming to feel alive. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes through movement, pressure, resistance. That's where strength is born. Now I want you to think about all the energy you've wasted replaying old mistakes. All the times you've talked yourself out of trying. All the nights you sat there battling depression, anxiety, indecision, all because your thoughts were louder than your actions. But here's what's powerful. You don't need a miracle to change your life. You just need one decision, one to break the loop. That's all it takes to begin. And not a master plan, just a shift in mindset. Because when your mindset changes, everything around you begins to respond. Your relationships, your habits, your results. That's why people call it personal growth, because it's personal. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can carry your dream across the finish line. This is your race, your journey. And every step you take in the direction of courage chips away at the old version of you, the one stuck in hesitation. And listen, this isn't just about entrepreneurship or career goals. This is about your entire life. Your health, your purpose, your joy, your peace. If you keep living inside your head, you'll miss the life waiting right in front of you. You'll miss the connections, the moments, the magic. And life is too short for that. You don't want to reach the end of your story only to realize you were the one holding yourself hostage all along. You want inspiration. Look at people who stopped overthinking and just started creating. They weren't fearless, they were focused. They understood that progress is messy, that greatness isn't clean, and that's what makes it real. You might be looking around thinking, I'm too late. But let me say this clearly, you're not too late. You're just early in your next chapter. You want to know how to stop overthinking and anxiety. Train your brain to value action more than answers. Train your spirit to move even in uncertainty. That's not just motivation, that's transformation. That's how champions are built. Not in silence, not in theory, but in motion. And I know somebody listening to this right now feels stuck, feels lost, feels like nothing they do matters. But let me tell you, everything you do from this moment forward has the power to create momentum. And momentum doesn't need perfection. It just needs intention. You bring that intention every single day, and the rest follows. Because this is your time. This is your season to move, not to stall. You spent long enough thinking about what could go wrong. Now it's time to act on what could go right. You don't need another week of hesitation. You need 1 hour of focus. That's how fast transformation starts. That's how fast you overcome overthinking fast. That's how you turn a thought into a breakthrough. Now let's go deeper. See, overthinking doesn't always come in loud thoughts. And sometimes it's subtle. It disguises itself as preparation, as caution, even as logic. But let me ask you this: how much of your thinking is actually helping you grow? And how much of it is just slowing you down? People don't talk enough about the emotional exhaustion that comes from indecision. You carry that weight every day, the weight of what ifs, the weight of I should have, the weight of I'm not sure. And you begin to feel like life is passing you by while you're still standing on the edge, waiting for some kind of certainty that never arrives. Let me tell you something that changed everything for me. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. Clarity comes from movement. You don't figure life out in your head. You figure it out by living. And when you live, when you take that imperfect step, something shifts inside you. Your confidence doesn't come from knowing the path, it comes from trusting yourself to walk it. That's the mindset difference most people miss. They wait for confidence, but confidence is the reward, not the requirement. You build it by showing up. You build it by trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. That's personal growth. That's the real journey. That's what makes your story powerful. Now look, I get it. You've been taught to be cautious. You've been told to be realistic. What if that caution has become your prison? What if being realistic is just code for playing small? You weren't made to play small. You weren't made to play small. You weren't made to tiptoe through life hoping not to get hurt. You were made to leave a mark. You were made to rise, to inspire, to live out your potential with fire. And don't let anyone tell you that overthinking is just your nature. That's not your identity, that's just a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. You break it by doing the very thing your mind says you can't. You break it by proving to yourself that action speaks louder than fear. You break it by trusting that failure isn't a setback, it's a setup for your evolution. Let me give you something practical again. Next time you're caught in a spiral of thoughts, don't try to think your way out of it, move your body. Change your environment. Pick one ask and complete it. Do something physical, something visible, something achievable. You'd be amazed how quickly momentum can shift your entire mindset. Because motion interrupts emotion. That's psychology facts. And here's another truth: people will project their own fears onto you. That's part of life. Some of the negative influences in your life won't look negative at first. They'll look like concern. They'll sound like love. But what they're really saying is, stay safe, stay small, stay afraid. And if you don't wake up to it, you'll adopt their fears as your limits. But you don't owe anyone your limitation. You owe yourself your liberation. Let's talk about setbacks for a second. Because I know someone out there is thinking, I tried before and I failed. Yeah, so did I. So did everyone who ever made something meaningful. Setbacks aren't evidence that you're not capable. They're proof that you're on the journey. They're necessary. They teach you, they sharpen you. But only if you keep going. Only if you stop overthinking your failures and start building on them. You want to be an entrepreneur. You want to build a dream. You want to create something that outlives you. Then you've got to learn to separate fear from instinct. You've got to learn to recognize when you're hesitating from wisdom and when you're hesitating from insecurity. And the only way to sharpen that intuition is to act. Act, learn, adjust, repeat. That's how champions rise. You know what's ironic? The people who achieve the most are usually the ones who started before they were ready. They didn't wait to master everything. They didn't drown in preparation. They moved. And that's what made them masterful. Progress gave them perspective. Movement gave them mastery. And that's what this is all about: progress over perfection. So if you're sitting there thinking, but What if I mess up? Let me flip that for you. What if you grow faster than you ever imagined? What if you become stronger, wiser, more fulfilled than you've ever been? You can't wait until all your doubts disappear. You have to move while the doubts exist, and that's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it real. That's what makes you unstoppable. This is not just a motivational video. This is a wake-up call. This is a mirror, and the reflection staring back at you right now. That's not your fear. That's your fire. That's your potential. That's the part of you that's been waiting for permission to rise. And I'm telling you, you've got that permission right now. You always have. You want to know how to stop overthinking, you decide. That is, you make the decision that your dreams matter more than your doubts. That your future matters more than your fears. That your peace matters more than your perfection. That's how you begin. That's how you transform. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. And that's the most powerful space to be, in the space between fear and freedom. That's where the real growth lives. That's where motivation turns into movement. That's where the best version of you starts showing up. Do you know what's wild? Most people are carrying around ideas, dreams, gifts, but they're buried under doubt. And that doubt doesn't come from reality. It comes from internal noise. That voice that whispers, what if I'm not enough? What if I fail again? What if they laugh? But let me tell you, you were not created to live your life under the weight of what ifs. You were created to build something that outlasts your fear. And I've seen it, so many talented people trapped in hesitation. People with vision, with heart, with value to get stuck in a loop of overanalyzing everything. They think the overthinking is making them more prepared, more responsible. But it's not. It's draining them. It's stealing their fire before they even light the match. Overthinking doesn't protect your future, it paralyzes your present. That's why I keep saying motion beats meditation when your mind is at war. Yes, reflection is important. Yes, planning matters. But once the planning turns into paralysis, you've already lost momentum. And without momentum, even the greatest ideas turn to dust. It's just real life. Psychology facts. You can be brilliant, but if you don't act, brilliance fades. Let me paint this for you. Picture a man who has the perfect business idea. He writes it down. He builds a plan. He studies competitors. He listens to podcasts. He reads motivational speeches. And every day he tells himself he'll launch it tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Why? Because he's waiting to feel fearless. He's chasing perfect certainty. And in doing that, he loses the one thing he needed most: courage. Now picture another man, same idea, less polished plan. He feels the fear, but starts anyway. He stumbles, he adjusts, he learns by doing. And 5 years later, he's not just running a business, he's living a purpose. Not because he knew everything, but because he was willing to grow in real time. That's the difference between delay and destiny. That's what overthinking fast really means. It's not about removing fear, it's about shifting your relationship with it. Fear isn't the enemy, it's the compass. It shows you where the growth is, where the expansion is, where the breakthrough is hiding. Now let me ask you something honest. Who are you waiting for permission from? Your parents, your boss, society, your younger self? Listen to me, you don't need external validation to pursue internal vision. Your dream doesn't need a committee, it needs commitment. And that starts with you making a decision today that your progress matters more than your perfection. Too often, we chase approval instead of alignment. We try to meet everyone's expectations instead of honoring our own calling. And then we wonder why we feel stuck, why we feel empty. It's because we're not living our lives, we're living someone else's blueprint. And overthinking keeps you there locked in a loop of should I? Can I? What will they think? But the truth is the people who judge you will judge you either way. Whether you rise or whether you hide, they'll have something to say. So you might as well rise. You might as well build. You might as well go after the life that keeps pulling at your soul in quiet moments. Because that's not a random desire, that's a calling. That's your next level trying to speak through the noise. You know, the saddest part of overthinking is what it costs you in relationships. How many moments have we missed with people we love because our minds were somewhere else? How many conversations were filtered through insecurity and fear instead of connection and presence? Overthinking doesn't just sabotage action, it's sabotaged intimacy. It builds walls where there should be bridges. And the cost keeps rising. The longer you let your thoughts run you, the more you start to question your own worth. That's how depression creeps in. That's how anxiety builds. That's how people end up feeling like they're living life in grayscale, everything dull, everything flat, because they're not living, they're just managing thoughts. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can take your life back, one bold decision at a time. That's what personal growth looks like. It's not a straight line. It's not always pretty, but it's powerful. It's messy progress, not silent perfection. It's building strength where you used to carry fear. It's understanding that the best motivational video isn't something you watch, it's the life you create every single day. And if nobody ever told you this before, let me tell you now, your ideas matter. Your voice matters. Your dreams are not foolish. Your vision is not too late. And your transformation is not behind schedule. You're right on time, but you've got to stop looking for the perfect moment and start creating it. You've got to stop doubting your instinct and start trusting your growth. And I'm not just saying this because it sounds good. I'm saying it because I've lived it. I felt the fraudulent feeling. I've battled those quiet nights of fear and uncertainty. I've looked in the mirror wondering if I was good enough, wise enough, strong enough. But you know what changed everything? Realizing that even if I wasn't, I was willing. Willing to try. Willing to learn. But evolve. That's what makes the difference. And not being perfect, but being willing. Willing to overcome fear. Willing to break patterns. Willing to step out even when your knees shake. That's motivation. That's entrepreneurship. That's life. Let me tell you something from experience. Overthinking doesn't just waste your time, it erodes your self-trust. You begin to question every move, second guess every decision, and eventually you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You used to dream big. You used to move boldly. But now your thoughts have become walls instead of wings. And I get it, you're trying to protect yourself. That's what the brain does. It wants safety, control, predictability. But you weren't designed to live safe. You were designed to live full. You were meant to take risks, to feel passion, to chase that electric pulse inside you that says, there's more for me. But if you keep listening to the fear disguised as logic, you'll talk yourself out of everything that could make your life extraordinary. You know what's even more dangerous than failure? Regret. Because failure teaches you something. Regret only robs you. And overthinking is a slow road to regret, one cautious choice at a time, one missed opportunity at a time, one day of waiting turning into years of wondering what if. I've seen it. Good people, smart people, talented people sitting on gifts they'll never use because they think they're not ready. But listen to me, readiness is a myth. Nobody ever feels ready for greatness. You grow into it. You stretch into it. You become ready by showing up again and again, even when you're unsure. That's how real motivation works. It's not about feeling perfect, it's about showing up imperfect and giving your best anyway. Let's talk about mindset, because this isn't just about action, it's about identity. The reason overthinking takes control is because your mind hasn't caught up with your potential. You're still seeing yourself through old labels, old failures, old fears. But you've outgrown those stories. You've outgrown that version of you who was afraid to be seen, afraid to be misunderstood, afraid to fail. You've got to rewrite your inner dialogue. Start speaking to yourself like you would to someone you love. You'd never tell someone you care about that they're not good enough, that they're going to fail, that they're a fraud. So why do you keep telling yourself those things? That's not self-awareness, that's self-sabotage. And it's time to let that go. Because this right here, this moment, this is your turning point. This is where you stop living in mental loops and start moving in bold alignment. This is where your setbacks become fuel, not shame. This is where your story shifts from overthinking to overcoming, from fear to fire, from hesitation to purpose. Let me tell you what nobody tells you. Your fear of failure is really a fear of being seen trying. You don't mind failing in silence. What scares you is failing in front of others. But let me ask you, whether you need their applause to validate your process. Growth isn't always pretty. Entrepreneurship, personal growth, chasing dreams, it's messy. It's uncertain, but it's worth it. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You're not late. You're not behind. You're just early in your process. Every master was once a beginner. Every legend was once unsure. Every motivational speech you've ever heard started from someone who almost quit but didn't. That's the key. They kept going. They kept believing. They kept moving even when they were afraid. That's what separates the inspired from the stuff, not talent, not luck, not background, but the willingness to move in the face of discomfort. That's the whole game. That's how you create the best motivational video of your life, by living boldly, by acting with intention, by refusing to let fear narrate your future. And if you've been feeling that fraudulence feeling, let me free you right now. You're not a fraud. You're just unfamiliar with your power. That imposter syndrome, that's not a sign you're fake, it's a sign you're growing. It means you're expanding. It means you're walking into rooms your old self couldn't imagine, and your mindset is still catching up. Don't shrink to fit your past. Rise to fit your potential. I'll tell you what I've learned: the longer you overthink, the louder your doubts get. But the moment you move, something unlocks. Your energy shifts. Your confidence starts to build. Your world begins to respond to your courage. And that's how you overcome overthinking fast, not with more thinking, but with more action. Not with more logic, but with more trust. You have a gift. You have a calling. You have a life that's not meant to be spent in delay and distraction. You were made to create, to love deeply, to build things that matter, to leave your fingerprints on this world. Not because you were perfect, but because you were present, because you showed up even when you weren't sure, because you dared to believe in something bigger than your fear. This isn't just a motivational video. This is a reminder that your life doesn't change in a decade, it changes in a moment. A single decision, a single action, a single shift in how you see yourself. And that shift can begin right now. You just have to decide. Let me take you a little deeper now, because overthinking, it's not just a habit. It's a reflection of inner wounds we haven't fully faced. It's the echo of every past disappointment, every criticism that stuck a little too deep, every moment where you felt unseen or unheard. And it all piles up in your mind, layer after layer, until every decision feels heavy. Until every dream feels risky, until every move feels like it's under a microscope. And you start asking yourself things like, what if I mess this up again? What if I'm not built for this? What if I'm too old, too late, too broken? But hear me, those thoughts aren't intrusive. They're just shadows from your past. And shadows only exist where there's light. That means your light is still in you. Your potential is still real. It hasn't left you, it's just buried under the noise of overthinking. You want to know how to stop overthinking and anxiety from taking over your life. You've got to reconnect with your power. Your why, the deeper reason behind your goals. Because when your why is strong, your fear gets weaker. When you're clear about who you're becoming, the doubts start losing their grip. That's how you build a mindset that leads to motivation, not hesitation. And let's be honest, this isn't just about dreams and goals. It's also about peace. Because overthinking doesn't just delay your success, it steals your peace of mind. It fills your days with tension, your nights with restlessness. You could be sitting in a quiet room, but your mind is in chaos. You could be in a moment of joy, but your brain is scanning for problems. That's not living, that's surviving. You deserve better than that. You deserve a life where your energy isn't drained by invisible battles. You deserve to feel proud of your decisions, even the messy ones. You deserve to walk through your days with clarity, not confusion. That's personal growth. That's emotional freedom. That's what real success feels like. And I want to say something important here. If you're dealing with depression, if you're stuck in a heavy fog where even getting out of bed feels like a task, know this: you're not weak. You're human. You're not broken. You're carrying weight that most people can't see. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not have all the answers. But don't let your overthinking lie to you and tell you that this is how life will always be. Healing is possible. Joy is possible. Motivation is possible again. Sometimes we need to shut out the noise of the world, the negative influences, the toxic opinions, the unrealistic expectations. Because if you let too many voices speak over your own, you'll forget what your voice sounds like. You'll forget what you believe in, what you value, what lights you up. And that's when overthinking takes over, when you stop trusting yourself and start outsourcing your intuition to everyone else. But let me remind you, no one else is qualified to tell you how to live your life. They don't know your heart. They don't know your vision. They don't know the strength it takes for you to keep showing up. So stop giving them authority over your journey. This is your path. This is your purpose. And you don't need permission to chase it. You want inspiration? Look in the mirror. You've survived things that could have destroyed you. You've adapted, you've rebuilt, you've grown. You might not have everything figured out, but you've come too far to turn back now. This is the season where you stop apologizing for your ambition. This is the moment you reclaim your fire. Listen, life doesn't give us success wrapped in guarantees. It gives us moments, choices, crossroads. And most people miss them because they're too busy thinking instead of living. But you're not most people. You're not here to coast through life numb and neutral. You're here to shake things up. You're here to build something bold. You're here to turn your setbacks into strength and your fears into fuel. This is entrepreneurship in real life. Not just starting a business, but building your life like it's your most important project. Setting goals that challenge you. Creating habits that stretch you. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you, not drain you. That's the mindset of a builder, of a creator, of someone who refuses to let overthinking rule in their destiny. And yes, you'll stumble. You'll doubt yourself some days, but keep going. That's what the best motivational video teaches you, that success is not a straight line. It's a spiral. You rise, you fall, you rise again stronger, wiser. That's how you evolve. That's how you become unstoppable. Let me ask you something simple, if not now, man. When will you finally believe in your own potential? When will you stop analyzing and start acting? When will you trade fear for faith? When will you stop waiting for the perfect moment and realize that you are the moment? You already have everything it takes inside you. You just need to stop letting your thoughts delay your transformation. You need to trust that the next step, even if it's small, is better than staying stuck in the same cycle. Remember, this progress is louder than perfection. Motion is louder than out. And faith, even when it's quiet, is more powerful than fear screaming in your head. You don't have to master everything today. You just have to move today. That's how you overcome overthinking, fast, one clear, intentional step at a time. Let me bring this even closer to your heart now, because by this point, I know something about you. You don't want to live average. You don't want to settle for halfway. You don't want to get to the end of your life and realize you were only ever surviving when you had the potential to thrive. And yet overthinking it sneaks in, doesn't it? Like a thief in the night, stealing your drive, draining your energy, and leaving you questioning your every move. But let's break something wide open right here. Overthinking is not a sign that you're not smart enough, strong enough, or capable enough. It's usually the opposite. It means you care. It means you have dreams that matter. It means you're deeply aware. That's not weakness, that's your sensitivity trying to guide you. But you've got to train your sensitivity to serve you, not sabotage you. You see, a mind left unmanaged will build mountains out of molehills. That's psychology fact. It will take a simple decision and turn it into a storm of fear and hesitation. You start questioning if your idea is good enough, if your timing is right, if you're too old, too late, or too flawed. But let me tell you something straight. The most powerful version of you is not the one that overthinks. It's the one that trusts, the one that acts, the one that decides. Because here's the truth. I had to learn the hard way. Your success doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from having the courage to begin. Even when your hands shake, even when your voice trembles, even when your mind is screaming every reason why it won't work and you do it anyway. That's what greatness looks like behind the scenes. That's the mindset of warriors, creators, leaders. That's the heartbeat behind every motivational speech you've ever heard. Ordinary people making extraordinary decisions in moments of deep fear. And I want to take a moment and speak to the ones who feel like they've wasted time. The ones who feel like they should have started earlier. Listen to me, purpose has no expiration date. Read that again. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where your story needs you to be, right here, right now, hearing this, because you're about to shift gears. Some of the greatest transformations I've ever seen in people didn't happen when they were young and energetic. They happened when they got tired of their own excuses. When they hit that wall and said, no more. I've lived small long enough. That's when the real fire begins. That's when setbacks stop being setbacks and start becoming stepping stones. And maybe you've had people around you who told you to be realistic. Maybe you've had negative influences saying you dream too big, move too slow, or think too deeply. But here's the truth. They're not uncomfortable because you're wrong. They're uncomfortable because your growth exposes their comfort. Your rise reminds them of their own stagnation. And that's not your bird and to carry. You've got to stop shrinking your ideas to fit into small conversations. You've got to stop dulling your light so other people don't feel insecure. You've got to stop postponing your next level just because someone else hasn't found theirs yet. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect. That's personal growth. That's honoring the gifts that life has placed inside you. And speaking of gifts, let's talk about entrepreneurship, whether it's in business or life, because that spirit isn't just about making money. It's about building something from nothing. It's about turning ideas into action. It's about creating value from vision. And guess what that requires? Action, not perfection. It requires courage, not certainty. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. You've got to set goals not just because they look good on paper, but because they stretch you. Because they call something out of you that's been buried under years of overthinking and second guessing. That's how you evolve. That's how you grow past your fear of failure. That's how you push through the fraudulence feeling that tries to whisper you're not enough. Because you are. You're more than enough. You just haven't seen the version of yourself that emerges when you stop living in fear. That version, the one that's bold, intentional, powerful, it's in you. It's not a fantasy, it's your next chapter. It's the best motivational video waiting to be lived through your actions, your words, your choices. Look, I know it's not easy. I know your mind is used to cycling through all the possible outcomes, rehearsing every worst case scenario. But that's not preparation, that's paralysis. The only way out of that loop is movement. Decision. You've got to build new mental habits, not just motivation, but mindset muscle. You've got to train your mind to focus on what could go right, not just what could go wrong. And the crazy part, the moment you make that mental shift, even just a little light starts opening up. You start noticing new opportunities. You start attracting new energy. You start walking different, talking different, living different. Because you're no longer trapped by your thoughts, you're led by your vision. This is how you stop overthinking fast, not by waiting for fear to disappear, but by outgrowing it, not by silencing every doubt, but by refusing to let it control your next step. You take one action, then another, and before you know it, you've built momentum. And momentum, that's power. Now we've come this far together, and if you're still here, it means something inside you is waking up. It means you're not just listening to another motivational video, you're searching for transformation. You're not here for noise. You're here for truth. You're here for a shift, a new chapter, a new rhythm to your life. And that's exactly what I want to give you before we close this message. Because this is the part most people miss. Overcoming overthinking is not just about the mind. It's about the life you're building around that mind. You can't heal from anxiety, doubt, or confusion if you keep living in the same patterns, the same environments, the same conversations that keep triggering them. You've got to upgrade your life from the ground up, your habits, your schedule, your circle, your goals, even the way you talk to yourself when nobody's listening. You want to know how to stop overthinking and anxiety for real? Start living in alignment with the future you want, not the past you survived. Stop letting your past voice be the loudest one in the room. That version of you that messed up, that lost time, that doubted themselves, thank them for surviving. But now it's time to lead with the version of you that's ready to build, ready to thrive, ready to move forward. Setbacks will come. Yes, even after this speech, even after your mindset shift. But listen to me, setbacks are not the end of your story. They are a test of your belief, a test of your vision, a test of whether your commitment is stronger than your comfort. You think I haven't faced those moments. You think I haven't stood in front of opportunities feeling completely unsure of myself. I have many times. But I've learned that it's not about removing the fear, it's about walking with it anyway. See, people think confidence is being fearless. It's not. Real confidence is built through action, not by waiting for fear to leave, but by learning that fear doesn't get to drive the car. It can sit in the back seat. It can whisper, but it doesn't choose the direction. That's the difference between those who break through and those who stay stuck. It's not intelligence. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's movement. It's resilience. It's the courage to say, I'll figure it out on the way. That's the spirit behind every motivational speech that ever stirred your heart, not perfection, but persistence. And let me tell you something that's going to change your life if you take it seriously. Your mind follows your focus. Whatever you feed grows. If you keep feeding fear, fear will grow. If you keep feeding doubt, doubt will grow. But if you start feeding inspiration, goals, progress, gratitude, your mindset will shift. Slowly at first, then fast. That's how personal growth works. Not overnight, but over time if you stay consistent. And you've got to start filtering what you allow into your mental space. You've got to protect your mind like it's sacred because it is. That means reducing exposure to negative influences, to toxic conversations, to environments that make you question your worth instead of fueling your potential. The people you surround yourself with, they shape your reality more than you think. If you're around people who normalize fear, hesitation, mediocrity, you'll start thinking that's just life. But if you're around people who stretch you, challenge you, push you, you'll start leveling up by default. And know this isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about being honest that we all wrestle with our minds sometimes, even the strongest among us. But that's exactly why mindset work is a daily practice. It's not a what-I'm motivational video, it's a way of life. Every morning you wake up, you got a choices, feed your fear or feed your fire. Every day, that choice is yours. So start small. One habit, one decision, one change in your routine that reflects the person you're becoming, not the one you've been. Make your environment match your intentions. Write down your goals like they already belong to you. Speak life into your days before anyone else does. That's how you build momentum. That's how you silence the fraudulent feeling. That's how you make clarity your default state, not confusion. You've been given this one life, and not to overthink it, not to waste it waiting for the perfect plan, but to live it boldly, bravely, authentically. You're not here to just get through life. You're here to create life. You're here to build legacy. You're here to become the kind of person that future generations point to and say, that's where the shift happened. Let me say this one last time, overcome overthinking fast. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now, because your dreams can't afford your hesitation anymore. Your peace can't wait for your permission anymore. Your purpose is calling and is tired of being put on hold. You've heard all the tools now: mindset, entrepreneurship, goal setting, how to stop overthinking, personal growth, psychology facts, filtering out negative influences, embracing setbacks. You've got it all. Don't let this be just another feel-good moment. Make it a turning point. Let today be the day you say, enough. I'm done living small. I'm done doubting myself. I'm done waiting. I'm stepping into my greatness, one decision, one action, one belief at a time. This is your moment. Own it. Walk in it. Live it fully. And if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you who you really are, then don't keep it to yourself. We are wisdom recorder, your knowledge source. Subscribe, like, and share this message with someone who needs to wake to their own power. Because this right here, this could be the best motivational video they ever hear. And your journey is just beginning. Let's go.